the surgeries that they have tried to continue to get him back onto the ice have continued to progress. But he has been skating a little bit. And over on Frank Saravelli, longtime TSN reporter, his podcast over at dailyfaceoff.com, he had a discussion with Chris McFarland, the Avalanche GM, who took the opportunity to talk about Landeskog. I want to let you hear it.
The good news is, everything has gone well. Knock on wood, there's been no sort of glaring hiccups or, speed bumps or anything. So his rehab continues, but we're still, I don't know if early is the right word, Frank, but we're still gathering information, and every week that goes by, there's sort of another step in terms of the things that he's hopefully gonna be able to do. But no, we're not close. There's not, it's not like he's, we need more information basically, but everything is hopefully positive, and we certainly miss him, that's for sure.
So I know it's way off in the distance given where you're at in the process, but is there hope that he can come back and play? Like, is that the goal?
Well, the goal was, the timeline we were given was, 12 to 16 months. So, 12 months is, at some point after the NHL regular season, and to say it's going to be if we're fortunate enough to go in the playoffs and win a round, would he potentially be a player? I just don't know. But is that a twinkle in your eye, maybe, that yes.
Hey, if we go on a deep run, that there
yes.
is a glimmer of hope that this guy could be back?
Well, I think the hope is for Gabe, right? He loves hockey. This has been really hard on him. It's what he does. It's what he knows. Selfishly, we have a lot of term left with him. I can't, Gabe Landeskog is a special player. I've said that a number of times. We can, you can maybe, put that cap space to use and find a 20-goal scorer or what have you. But the things that Gabe does, they're not readily available. The things that he does for our organization on and off the ice, and we really, really miss this player. And I'm just hopeful for him that he can continue his career. Whether we're fortunate enough, it's the springtime, or if it's next September at training camp or whatever. That's the number one thing. I want to see him back on the ice.
Now he couches that quite a bit, but there's a glimmer of hope, and just the notion that maybe the worst case scenario comes back in September, October, sometime in 2024. That's great news. And he was around the team last night, and Bednar said he always brings energy when he's around. The team loves having him
remember,
around.
the Avs decided not to vote for a new captain.
They did,
knowing that Landeskog was expected to be out. They decided that no one was going to wear the C this year.
Well, no one can wear the C the way he wears the C. And what I was going to say, wore the C. I'm using it present tense.
He's
think
still
it applies
the captain.
Today. He's still the captain. He's still, when he's around, provides a jolt of energy, enthusiasm, even confidence, knowing that he's not going to play anytime soon. And you think about getting Lehkonen back in the next 3 weeks, perhaps a little bit earlier than that. He's skating at practice. No non-contact jersey anymore for Arturi Lehkonen. He's fairly fully participating in practice. So he's not far away. In fact, it wouldn't surprise me if he came back before either Manson or Byram comes back with the lower body injuries they're dealing with right now. But this is nothing compared to the injuries the Avalanche are dealing with last year. And they also, at this time last year, had hope that Landeskog could come back.
And didn't put him on LTIR, and then sort of gave themselves challenges for the cap. And that's where the next question fits, obviously, because the trade deadline is March 8th. The cap situation, and the Avs took advantage of what's allowed with the long-term injured reserve at Gabe Landeskog and Pavel Francouz, by the way, as well. It doesn't make as much as Landeskog, but both are on long-term injured reserve because you could then use their cap space. Now, oddly, until there's a new CBA, the loophole is that vanishes in the playoffs.
Yes.
The Tampa Bay Lightning utilized that for Nikita Kucherov a couple of years ago, kind of hid him for the years. The Vegas did it last year with Mark Stone. They go to kind of hide a guy, and then when that rolls off, then all of a sudden they add a premier free agent, essentially, and exceed the cap. Could the Avs do that? I suppose. I think McFarland is being honest in the idea that that would be great. We'd really just like him to extend his career. Out skating today for the first time since that cartilage transplant. Here's what Jared Bednar said after practice, quote, I think the biggest part of that is it probably feels great for him just to be around the guys. That's one step in getting back here and doing his rehab here around the guys and being part of it. And our guys having him around, it's great on both sides. But for him, it's been a long road to now get back on the ice and do some things that would be sort of a refreshing step in his process to return. And that's part of it. And Bednar also went on to say, doesn't expect him to skate every day. It's not what they're doing. We're just starting the process and seeing how it goes. But it's obviously a great sign for an all-time great Colorado athlete. And to be able to see him get towards a return would be remarkable. This year, that'd be great. But it's more the idea, I think there's more than a few people that would like to see the captain back on the ice in whatever capacity, whether that's on a playoff team or whether that's during a quote-unquote meaningless regular season game next fall, to see Landeskog back out there.
I do not know Chris McFarland well, but I can say with the highest degree of confidence, we will never hear Chris McFarland say anything like Tim Connolly said 2 years ago before the playoffs began
with Jamal Murray.
About Jamal Murray,
implying
that only Murray was keeping Murray from playing.
Right.
You will never hear that from Chris McFarland or anyone else in the Avalanche organization with regard to Gabriel Landeskog.
No,
You'll never.
I don't think you will either. So this is a long road, but look, as I think McFarland put it correctly. Is it a twinkle in his eye? Yeah, yeah. Why wouldn't
it be nice?
Why wouldn't it be?
If you got Lehkonen back, and then a few months later, at
in
some point
capacity?
during the playoffs, in any
He's
capacity,
playing for eight
even
minutes
if
a
he just
night.
played on the power play.
Sure.
You know, you'd have him there in reserve, maybe getting more or less fourth line or third line minutes. Don't want to get carried away, but you'd have him at your disposal because you're right. During the playoffs, you can put people on the roster who would definitely put you in trouble with the salary cap if they're on the roster during the season, or you couldn't put them on the roster. I mean, it's a hard cap. You can't put him on the roster during the season, but just the chance that he might be able to play in the playoffs, given the way the Avalanche are going. And, I don't even say, and you don't either, well, the Avalanche are playing without Gabriel Landeskog because that's been true for more than a year and a half now. So we don't include that. But, boy, you add him.
But adding him back.
Even at any point during the playoffs.
Right.
What a bonus.
It would be huge.